First jump. From fear to freedom. 2 days after my shooting test, the world sharpened its focus again. The standard training of a 2REP soldier began. I was no longer an anonymous recruit. I belonged to the airborne regiment, the unit that would be the first into action. To get there, I first had to conquer my own body and my own fear. Testing the foundation. It started with tests. TAP 1, a dry technical assessment of functional strength, 4 overhand pull-ups, 15 push-ups, each one had to be perfect, the bureaucracy of muscles, 40 sit-ups, 30 squats, and 1 climb up a 6-meter rope using hands and feet. This wasn't art for art's sake. It was the language in which your body converses with gravity. You were telling it, you listen. Endurance under load. Then came TAP 2. The weight, the backpack, 11 kilograms that become part of your skin, 1,500 meters on the run under 9 minutes, a sprint with a burden, 8,000 meters under an hour. That's no longer a run. It's a negotiation with every single step. Somewhere between breath and pain, you discover your endurance. The ritual before flight. Simultaneously, ground training began. We learned stick formation, parachute donning, and container rigging. This wasn't just procedure. It was a sacred ritual. Every hook, every line, every buckle checked 10 times over. A flawless execution meant life. Not just mine, but sometimes that of many soldiers, even the success of an entire mission. A mistake here wasn't a slip-up. It was betrayal. First touch of the void. The first jumps were from a special tower. Without opening the parachute, I was harnessed to a cable and had to learn the sequence: exit, fall, jerk, control. It was a dry, safe simulator. But my thoughts were already elsewhere. The impotence of fear. Nighttime conversations. When I chose the 2REP, I didn't know I'd become a paratrooper. I had a slight fear of heights. At night, in the silence of the barracks, my mind worked overtime. What will it be like? Will fear paralyze me in the plane's door? Will they just push me out then? And if so, will I, paralyzed, be able to pull the handle? These and similar thoughts wouldn't let me sleep. Fear is a loner. It only talks to you. D-Day, entering the belly of the plane. But the time came. There was no more what if. There was only now. We were loaded into the plane and began an extraordinary journey. The metallic growl of engines, the smell of fuel and sweat. The plane climbed and the world below shrank to the size of a map. The red light above the cockpit door lit up. My heart beat in rhythm with the engines. That was the signal. Soon, the door would open. The red light. The line of fate. We lined up, facing that void. The sergeant moved along, attaching each man's static line to the automatic opening mechanism. When I heard the characteristic click at my harness, I breathed a sigh of relief. Regardless of fear, I would survive this jump. Deep down, I smiled. I was fourth in line. In the door. A father's gesture. The first man jumped. The second. The third. Now my turn. As I stood in the door, a gust of wind hit my face, and the sight of thousands of meters of emptiness below triggered panic. Then the sergeant calmly placed his hand on my shoulder. He didn't push. He just placed it, like a father wanting to give you courage. It was the most important order I ever received. I closed my eyes and took a step forward. First freedom. The jerk. Absolute emptiness opened beneath me, wind roaring in my ears, the sensation of falling. And then, a powerful saving jerk, as if the sky grabbed you by the scruff of the neck and said, "Enough." I opened my eyes. Above me billowed a white and red canopy. I grabbed the toggles as taught. I looked down at 3 other canopies and up, where the rest of my brothers were leaving the plane. In that silence, suspended between heaven and earth, I felt a power within me. I knew nothing could break me now. Earth and the first celebration. The Earth approached relentlessly, but we landed safely. That weekend, we celebrated in a local bar. We were laughing, drinking beer, enjoying what was behind us and what was yet to come. There was something primal in it, a rite of passage. The third jump, taking control. More jumps came quickly. The second was similar, automatic. But the third, that was something completely different. You pull the handle, the instructor said. I decided the moment of opening. That was a different story altogether, but I succeeded. Each time I felt less like a passenger and more like a pilot. Combat jump, the weight of responsibility. I was truly afraid of the fourth jump. It was to be a combat jump. They taught us how to free fall before opening. Free fall, I thought, feeling sweat bead on my forehead. I was loaded with equipment weighing tens of kilograms plus the parachute. You only die once, I thought. If it has to be done, it must be possible. Free fall, seconds of eternity, green light, everyone in position. One after another, they tumbled out the door, and I followed. A few seconds of free fall. Wind tugging at my clothes, the earth spinning. I passed the first open canopy, then the second. Time. I pulled the handle. It opened. I exhaled the air held in my lungs. I was alive, and I would live. The relief was sweeter than any triumph. The brevet and finances, two kinds of gain. The last jumps were pure fun. I ceremoniously received my parachutist badge. I was proud. But I was also happy about another passed test, and with it came a pay raise. I knew this adventure would end one day. Every additional jump, and on average a 2 REP soldier makes 15 a year, increased my future capital, pride and pragmatism, the two engines of the Legion. Epilogue. The uneasy uncertainty. One thing worried me, though. I had my brevet, but I still hadn't been assigned to a battalion, and each battalion, the 1st, 2nd, 3rd, 4th Company, was a different world, with its own specialized training. So I waited with impatience, but also with apprehension. I had conquered the fear of heights. I had conquered gravity. Now before me was the hardest test, to find my specific place in this machinery. And I felt that this was only the beginning of the real selection. Drop a like and subscribe. That's your way of saying, continue the mission.